Next up is Zoom. Zoom is a platform for outsourcing and for project management made by experienced real estate developers. Zoom.
So, I'm here to talk about Zoom. I'm here with with our COO and our CEO, back of the room there. And this is a platform. We're trying to make a platform for changing the way we work and the way we plan and the way we purchase online. So, first off, bit of history. Two of our founders, brothers, Plowman and Ivan, they've been in real estate and real estate development for over 25 years. They started their own company and they grew. They hired more people, set up an office in their local town, grew to the point where they were building infrastructure for the local municipality just to get infrastructure to their projects. They then moved on to the capital, hired more people there, needed more talent, and ran out of people to hire, especially architects, designers, and planners, and engineers. So they figured, okay, well, architecture, design, planning, those are all things that can easily be done remote, right? This is something that we should be able to outsource to other talented houses around Europe. But in online outsourcing right now, there are some massive problems. First of all, freelancers expect to have issues with payments. It's just how it is now. So there's delayed payments or even withheld payments where people do the work and don't get paid. There's no trust due to this. And because people are expecting to be fooled, it goes the other way as well. There's a lot of scammers taking money and not doing the work. If you want to do a complex project and you want to have multiple freelancers working together on the same project, well, your basic options are to hire them, put them together in a team, create a company, and then do your project, because there's no way to scale project management between those freelancers, especially not across borders. And all this, in the end, boils down to having non-enforceable contracts. If you want to do a project with freelancers in your local town or just in your country, that's fine. You can sign up regular contracts. You have legal options if something goes wrong. But if you go across borders or state borders, it suddenly gets very complex. So, what do we do to fix it? Well, first of all, we see that it's a massive problem. 40% of freelancers have at least one instance a year where they just don't get paid. Imagine that. Having a job, this is what you do, one instance a year, just don't get paid. And that's in a $1.5 trillion economy. And of course, the reason this isn't fixed is because a lot of those contracts are very small. There's $500,000, $5,000 contracts that just aren't worth it to fix. So here's our solution. We use smart contracts to regulate your working environment. We use crypto for fast payments, both Ethereum and our native ERC token. And all this enables us to do integrated project management across borders globally. So how? First of all, there's the platform. We have a basic Web 2.0 platform that we're working on where clients and contractors come together, they hash out the details of each deal, and each deal gets broken up into milestones and deliverables. Those get coded into a smart contract where the client then pays to the contract and the contract holds it in escrow. Now that can hold it for as long as has been set down by the platform, and the contract then reads from user agreements whether or not something has been delivered. So if a freelancer delivers and the client is happy, they say yes. If not, there's a conflict. And then we have something called the tribunal to do conflict resolution globally. I'll get to that in a minute. So, like I said, it's built on Ethereum. We pay with either our native token or Ethereum. When you pay with the token, you get lesser fees. It's very basic economic model, but we're trying to make the barrier of entry small for those people that are just starting out, just getting to the point of using Ethereum. Introducing another token into the mix for those people is overly complex. But if you're doing a bigger project or you're doing a complex project of many parts, our token is a definite benefit. So, all those contracts get added to a contract tree. Now, if I am doing a basic project and say building a website, I have certain things that I need. Now, I can go out and I can try to outsource all those things myself to different freelancers, Or I can go to the platform and say, I need a website, these are my deliverables, and someone who can do all those things can take that entire contract and run with it and do those deliverables. Or they can take that contract and submit a counter offer contract, where they will submit that they will do certain parts and take responsibility for the other parts getting successfully outsourced and completed on the platform. So we have a way to transfer responsibility, but what do you do if people don't agree? Well, this is the contract tree. This is how those contracts work. You can break down a project into infinitesimally small pieces. It's like a fractal tree. This is the contract tree for a structural engineer. This is what he sees. So a client wants to build a house. A project manager divides those into many parts and takes his cut as his fee. Those contracts get posted back to the platform. And in this case, a structural engineer comes in and he sees that, okay, there's engineering work for plumbing, for electrical, for structural. And he can't do the plumbing, he can't do the HVAC, but he can do the structural. So he takes the structural engineering part, completes that, gets his payment, gets his cut for making sure that the other engineers do their work. And yeah, so you can imagine all these contracts split into further contracts and so on and so forth. Now, if someone doesn't agree, we use something we call the tribunal. It's where the platform chooses users with skills similar to those that you have of the person you've already hired. So if it's a web developer, the platform will choose people with web development skills. It's usually between 3 and 5 people, depending on the contract and the size. And what they do is they get presented with what was asked for, what was delivered, and they make a vote. Now, the majority gets paid a part of the contract. The minority gets nothing. So that's an incentive for the tribunal to really look deeply at each project and make sure that they're standing with the majority. And because these tribunals are semi-randomly picked out among the user base, each user won't have access to a ton of tribunals. It's not like you're going to be flooded with them. So you can really sit down, take your time, and look at what has been asked for and what has been given. Now, some of you who have probably seen AI decision trees and how complex problems are broken down when it comes to solving complex things with artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is very good at doing easy things and repetitive things. Like things that humans find boring or humans find hard to follow because there's a lot of numbers, but the operations are simple. But what AI is really bad at is breaking down complex problems into those small pieces that they can solve. So on our platform, we have essentially a crowdsourced breakdown mechanism where parts of each contract can be handled by AI. Now, at the moment, we're not even building that AI. There are literally thousands of companies that are working on AI to solve different types of problems. And those companies can put their machines on our platform and accept missions on behalf of that AI and get salary and payment for that work. Also, our platform generates a lot of data on completed projects, on how many tribunals a certain project has, how many delays you have, what your budgets are, what your overshoots are, and all that data we will aggregate, and put through machine learning to figure out what makes a project successful. Why is this small website project successful and this not? What skills are needed to do these tasks? What skills are needed in a project manager? What people should not be allowed to take the responsibility for a larger project, for instance? And our basic business model is percentages. We take a small percentage of every transaction through the platform, either Ethereum or tokens, and that's our base technology level. That's where we start. Now, we can go further. So when you have a way to govern responsibilities and tasks across borders frictionlessly with payments, what you can do is set up virtual companies. You can have companies with, and I'm sure all of you here sitting in this room do this. You work with international people every day. And sometimes you outsource, and sometimes that goes well. And if you're a big corporation, Usually it does because you have the money and the clout to make sure that what you ask for gets fulfilled. But if you're starting out, or if you're just slightly smaller, if you're a small to medium enterprise, well, then you can use this platform to create a virtual company and govern workers from all over the world without fear of them running off with payments, without fear of them not doing the work they were assigned to do. And real-world companies can carry on their brand to the platform. Now, we have, as I said, history in construction, right? And from that, we have a lot of ties to a lot of suppliers of different goods. So everything from furniture to furniture, tiles, everything you need to build a house. And we also have other partners such as Fustek, who are working in augmented reality, CompuTools. They're a digital outsourcing company for blockchain and programming. BIMstreamer, they're a platform for synchronizing work across architectural agencies and workers. And all these people, well, at least the designers and furniture suppliers, they went, okay, so you're going to have a platform where there's all these workers who are designers and who are architects, who are planners and who are engineers, who are going to be creating these plans. Can we give them our 3D models, please? That's basically what they said. We are like, yeah, sure, but you have to pay them. So now this is the second layer of our platform where those engineers and architects and planners and designers, they can create, say, a living room with chairs, not from some database they found online that they work with, because that's what freelancers usually do today. Instead, they will go on the platform and they will get a selection of 3D models they can use, and if the user likes what they've gotten, they just press, yeah, okay, I want that living room, that one with those chairs. And it automatically transfers to our partners, to the factories, no middleman, and it gets shipped. So, who are we? Well, I'm Simon, over here. I'm the CTO. I'm from Blockchainers in Norway and doing business development and architecture there. Plamen, I've already talked about, and his brother Ivan, both long-term real estate developers. And our COO is Ray, sitting over there. Now, these three, between them, have almost 70 years of project management experience, right? Grand total. So they've done buildings, they've done ships, they've done everything. Robin Peterson worked on the NEM protocol. He's our lead developer. David, some of you may know him, David Meseros. He's our lawyer. He's based in Holland, or in the Netherlands, where we are also incorporated, and he knows those laws in and out. Savio Gomez, some may know him. He's a prolific blockchain advisor. And Penka Georgieva is an associate professor in artificial intelligence, and she is our artificial intelligence advisor as well. Then there's Georgi, doing financial research, Plamen, general research, and he's also a graphic designer, so he's reaching out to all different 3D artists and so on for how do they handle outsourcing. And Motipier, marketing from Blonde, some may know them, they did marketing for Spotify and IOTA. So, quote from Deloitte, I'm not going to read it, takes too much time. Basically, they said that we have to make a work ecosystem where humans and machines can work globally, and no one did yet. Token utility, we do payments, you have lower fees, you can pay contractors, partners can pay contractors with that token, as in the designers. You have discounts from partners when paying with the token versus paying with Ethereum. Now, our partners accept both our token and Ethereum, but you will get discounts. And you have premium ad placement with the token. Now, token distribution, 50% is going into the ICO in total. Now, whether we do this in pre-sale or we do this in the full ICO is really up to what we can fundraise. And in the end, this is our final usage of funds, hopefully. So, questions?
I Hi, Simon. I'm Grant Gunderson, Bentley Blockchain. A great presentation, by the way. I've got a couple of questions for you. Who's your biggest primary competitor in what you're doing today?
Biggest primary competitor is...
I know some people do pieces of it.
Yeah.
I know some people do pieces of what you do, but not all of what you do. So, in different geographic areas.
So I think we are, there's no one doing exactly what we do. I think our two main competitors are Colony, that some of you may know, for project management. They're old school blockchain, project. And they can they can solve a lot of the problems that we are solving from a very different direction. Mm-hmm. Our second biggest competitor is probably Dream. Some of you may have heard of them. They're doing outsourcing with blockchain, mostly focusing on outsourcing blockchain talent. Now, they had a blockchain talent outsourcing platform, and they've been pivoting a couple of times, pivoting towards AI, pivoting towards project management. They haven't really figured out where they're going, and they just canceled their ICO, postponed their ICO about 5 days ago, I think.
Okay. Do you work, and the second question, thank you, would be, are you working with companies like Bechtel, Rudolf Sletten, Schlumberger, the big guys are managing massive projects with tons of contractors, or just smaller scale ones?
Not yet.
Micro ones.
We have had meetings with Metier,
Yeah.
but nothing has come of it yet.
Okay. Thank you.
How do you guys make money?
So, not quite yet, but no, we make money by taking percentages of every transaction that goes through the platform. Not when it goes into the escrow account, but when it comes out.
What is that percentage? Does that vary now, or is it a set one project?
Well, we've been looking at set percentages, but then someone came and asked what would happen if they did a $100 million project through our platform, and we realized that okay, we actually can't take 3% of that transaction because that will cripple a project. But as of now, it's 3% for the token and 5% for Ethereum.
Is there a benefit to the contractor for receiving payment in the token, or is that benefit only for the, the party hiring the contractor who's getting a reduced fee? Is there a reason that the contractor wouldn't want to just convert that back to Ethereum or some other currency that they're more comfortable with that's more than immediately?
So, because the contractor has to, if you're a single point contractor, so one client, one contract, then there is no real incentive. However, if you're planning to do any sort of forwarding of those contracts, you're going to see your overhead cut a lot if you do tokens versus Ethereum, because those 5% stack through the chain, and you can only divert when you're splitting contracts. You split them based on the previous contract, right? So if you get paid in Ethereum on the first one, then that fee level gets carried through with every subsequent split of the contract, versus if you do it in tokens, so it's a strong cumulative incentive.
Yeah, hey, Ben Mayer, FT Partners. I would like to ask, how are you planning on dealing with quality on the platform? Because I realize a lot of times freelancing, they might hit the contract points, but the quality's not there.
Yeah. So every user on the platform has an account, an identity, and we will have basic old school rating systems. Standard e-commerce stuff. There's a lot of standard e-commerce that I haven't included in this presentation just because it didn't seem like it was worth the time. So star ratings, we're going to have smart ratings as well, and people will be judged not just on a single parameter, but because each contract gets split into different types and different skill sets, we can have different scores for different types of skills. So you can have someone who's, for instance, a web designer who can technically take on the full project of doing web design and coding, but their skills will say, okay, this person is a great web designer, but not that great at coding.
And then if they then subdivide the contracts, would I have control over the quality of people they hire? Could I set limits, or is it just kind of?
You can set limits of whether you want the contract tree to continue. You can set limits on how deep you want it to go. and you can set limits on whether or not you have to approve the people that they choose.
Why blockchain?
Because having this global payment infrastructure with the escrow, doing that with conventional financial systems it's really slow, but it's also incredibly expensive. So if you do it for large payments, large projects, that works fine. But if you want to pay someone, say $2,000 to make you a website, or if you want to pay a designer $600 to design, the layout of your living room, it's too expensive.
All right, guys. Just out of time. Thank you very
Yep.
much.